Well, hello, Crashing In Podcast, and today I am with Teenage Waitress. We're going to be talking about what's upcoming for Teenage Waitress, and by the way, this was recorded before September, I think, last year, and it's a bit out of date, so we'll go off on tangents about stuff that was around that time. Unfortunately, I couldn't upload this podcast quick enough because I just got lots of podcasts to upload, then I'm putting events on and stuff like that, so a lot gets in the way. And it was festival season from what I remember, so I had to upload all that stuff whilst it was relevant to the time the festival was. So I just want to say sorry to Daniel for releasing this so late, but yeah, this band / solo project, we'll get talking about how it starts off as a solo project, then he's got a band for the gigs and stuff like that. It's a really cool sound, unique sound, and also Teenage Waitress was signed on a record label that was created by Andy Crofts, which is really cool. And Andy Crofts is out the moons if you don't know who he is. Brilliant band, and he has great taste in music. So check out Andy Crofts' label, and we'll get talking a bit about that later on in the podcast. And yeah, we'll get talking about the music Daniel was into and probably inspired his music and stuff like that. And we'll get talking about the name Teenage Waitress and his ways of writing his music and stuff like that, which was really interesting. So yeah, we'll get talking about singles at the time and gigs. And yeah, I hope you all enjoyed today's podcast, and if you haven't already, go back and check the podcast I've done with the Orb. Absolutely brilliant podcast and really good response so far. And yeah, I've got so many more great podcasts to upload. I've got the likes of Big Boss Man coming up. I think that'll probably be one of the next podcasts. I've got Hey Alimo, some brilliant bands, different sounds. Also, I've got rapper coming on, Louis the Prince. I'm really looking forward to that. And yeah, I've got loads coming up. So, and yeah, in stores are back on next month, 4th of Feb, and we've got Manzoni Gardens on, a bit of a psyche, new wave, 90s jangly sound going on. It's really cool, and a band they remind me of it's got a bit of Radiohead vibes, in my opinion. So listen to them for yourself and you'll see. So I hope you all enjoy the podcast. I'll see you soon, and take care.
Stay
Well, hello, Crashing In Podcast, and today I am with Teenage Waitress. So, do you want to say hello and your name and what you play in Teenage Waitress?
Hi, my name's Daniel, and Teenage Waitress is a solo project, so it's kind of my baby, really. When we're live, we play with a live band, but most of the stuff you hear on the record is either me or my producer Mike.
So, do you want to talk about what you've been doing recently, and have you had any recent releases you'd like to talk about?
Sure. So I released my first album, Love and Chemicals, back in 2020. December, right in the middle of the lockdown, on Colorama Records, which is Andy Crofts' label, and with that, so that came out on vinyl and on digital, and obviously as it came out in lockdown, we kind of weren't able to go out and gig it, unfortunately. So I did a few live stream things from home, and then last year we started getting the live band together and just taking the album on the road, really, which was really nice. And this year has kind of just been working on the follow-up, and the follow-up has a few more different people playing on it. I've got some of the live band playing on the record, and the last year has just kind of been knocking that into shape and getting it ready, and it's kind of there. Like, I think we just need to get it all mixed, but it's come together really nicely, and the plan is to hit it hard and world domination and all the rest as soon as it's out. And in addition to that as well, we've got a single coming out on the 19th of August, Pretty Little Baby, which is it's a Marvin Gaye cover that we just kind of did in the studio, me and my producer Mike, between doing some of the original songs with just our sort of downtime. We worked on it together, and it felt right to release it and give it its day in court. So that's coming out on the 19th of August through Colorama again on all the digitals. So go check that one out if you get a sec. I'm really proud of that cover.
Right, really looking forward to your upcoming single. So would you say you turned Marvin Gaye's track into like your own? And do you know when you're going to be releasing your future material?
Yeah, we want to get it out as soon as possible, really. I'm sort of coiled like a spring, ready to go back on the road and play these songs. So this Pretty Little Baby single is the first thing that's coming out, but that's not actually on the album. That's a little warmer up kind of track, just to remind people of who I am again before I release the record. And then there's all this talk of delays at vinyl pressing factories that of sort of 8-9 months waiting to get your record done. So I mean, all that is out of my hands, but hopefully the queues aren't that long to get in there now. We can get it kind of made up as soon as possible. I think I'm hoping for first thing next year, sort of February next year would be great. But it all depends really. But as such, you will be hearing it early 2023, and a couple of singles from it before then as well, I think. I really hope so. I mean, it's kind of we've been quite faithful to it, but it's also kind of gone through the Teenage Waitress filter. There's the synths and stuff in it that obviously weren't around when the original was recorded. So we've got we've tried to because it's such a great song anyway. We don't want to mess with it too much, but it's nice to kind of give it a Teenage Waitress arrangement.
Yeah, absolutely. Love the track Pretty Little Baby by Marvin Gaye. Brilliant tune. But really look forward to hearing like the Teenage Waitress version of Pretty Little Baby. It's always nice to hear someone's like version of a track. So like with your material that's coming up, like your upcoming record, would you say it's different to your debut?
Yeah, so I feel this new one feels like a level up in every sense, really. The writing definitely feels stronger to me. And the musicianship is stronger because the first album was kind of just me playing everything apart from the drums. But this time round, I used some of my live band on this album, and just having different musicians play on it just adds all these different kind of flavors and feels that you don't get if it's just me sweating in front of a computer programming stuff. Because I think the first album kind of it kind of falls into that kind of laptop album vibe. We tried to make it feel like a band in a room, but I think this one really was a band in a room. So hopefully it sounds like that. And yeah, it does feel like a step up. And yeah, I'm excited for everyone to hear it.
Oh, really looking forward to the upcoming album, hearing the change of sound. And also, I just want to say, like, I really love your debut album. I think it was great. Um, Definitely this type of stuff I would DJ when it comes to my DJ sets and stuff like that. And the vibe I always search for. And I also love the album cover. So, do you want to talk a bit into depth about the debut album? What was it like recording? And do you want to talk a bit about the album cover and the name of the album and why the name?
Oh, thank you so much, man. That's really, really kind of you. It means a lot. I'm so glad to hear it. So yeah, Love and Chemicals. That the title came from. Well, I'm forever keeping voice notes and just like notes on my phone. And when I hit a creative drought, I just sort of go fishing on my phone for ideas. And I found a note on my phone from, I don't know, maybe 2017, 2016 that just said Love and Chemicals, and I thought, hang on, I think that's the one, you know. So it just stuck, and yeah, the cover I found. Do you know what? I found the cover on Instagram whilst I think it popped up on my Explore or something on Instagram one day, and I just instantly knew that was the one, because the kind of album is all these different short stories, different people's lives, different kind of fragments of people's lives, and the idea of something. One of the songs actually takes place in a hotel room, so the idea of having a hotel room on there, it just seemed to fit it perfectly. But yeah, the sleeve was actually taken by Neve Francis Smith, who very kindly let me use the picture. And yeah, like I say, it just seemed to fit, and the title seemed to fit, and yeah, it just all felt right. And the record itself was recorded over the course of about a year, I'd say, with my producer Michael Bissett, and it was kind of recorded sort of half in my bedroom, half in his bedroom. The ideas would always kind of start, you know, when I was at home. I would just write songs, and then I'd send them to him, and they'd go through his mangle, and he'd help arrange them and do some playing on some of the tracks. And then I would just come up to London for a couple of days, a couple of times a month, and we'd kind of work on them until they felt done. And I can't sing Michael's praises enough as a producer, because he really, I think, especially when it's a solo project and there's no one else to kind of bounce off or kind of ask, is that okay? Is that, I mean, I don't have the confidence to kind of just record all, you know, write all these songs, then record them all myself, and then produce them all myself. Like I need someone else to kind of just let me know that, you know, that I'm steering the ship in the right direction or whatever. And also Mike had so many great ideas as well that all made it onto the album. Like I trust him implicitly. He's a fantastic producer. He's not afraid to tell me if an idea is a bit naff, which is what I need. And he's just, yeah, it's always a pleasure to work with him, and the fab results are because I worked with a fab producer on it.
Yeah, I think it has a great vibe, the album cover. Like, when I look for albums in a record shop, I always judge by the cover, and I feel like if I was to see that album in a record shop not knowing who you was, I would definitely go for it, because just the look of it, and I just can tell from the album cover that the album will be good. And it's weird how stuff like that works, but I feel like a good album cover kind of helps in many ways.
Oh, totally. I always the example I always think of is the Zombies Odyssey and Oracle. The cover of that is just sublime. It's just colourful and eye catching, and like I there is no, I mean, I love that album, but if I didn't know what it was, there's no way that I'm kind of walking past that in a record shop and not picking it up and having a look at what it is. But thank you. I'm so glad you think that. It felt right to me too.
Yeah, definitely. I absolutely love that album by the Zombies, and the album cover's just great. But let's talk about your sound and when it comes to your music. Like, was there like any influences behind your music? Like, was there certain musicians that kind of like impact your sound and stuff like that?
Yeah, I'm a self-confessed music nerd, and I think the big three for me have always been the Beatles, David Bowie, and Paul Weller. And I think what connects those guys is just the songwriting and the kind of love of melody. Melody is obviously such a prominent thing in the music of all of those artists. And I think that for me, that's always the thing that I'm drawn to, is just the melody first. I think lyrics are really important too, obviously, but the first thing that I hear when I listen to music is melody and tunes. So that is kind of my North Star, I think, when writing. But yeah, I mean, like I say, I'm a big music geek. I love bands like the Flaming Lips. I love the Magnetic Fields, Grandaddy. I love Elvis Costello. I love Dylan. Kate Bush, Scott Walker. Yeah, all kinds of music. I'm kind of I'm not really into anything else in the world apart from music, and just love discovering new music.
Yes, pretty much the same with me. Music's my life, and all I care about is music, really. And I'm forever discovering new music, and even 60s stuff. I discover something new, which I really like. So let's talk a bit about the lyrics and what sort of lyrics you tend to like write about.
Sure, yeah, most of my lyrics are kind of short stories, which is where Teenage Waitress comes from, because I liked originally the idea I had was like, the album is from the perspective of a teenage waitress who's clearing up plates at a table and hearing about people's day. So like track one might be table one or whatever, and then she moves the plates, here's someone else's story on another table, and so that's kind of where it started. And yeah, I just quite like the idea of kind of short contained stories in a 3-minute pop song, which kind of goes back to my love of like music of the Kinks and Blur and stuff like that, the people who do it so well. So yeah, it's most of the time kind of short stories from other people's perspective, and I mean that's great as well, because for years I kind of wrote from my own perspective, and I never really surprised myself or kind of, I don't know, you kind of get used to a certain vocabulary that you use, when all of a sudden it's like, there's a song on Love and Chemicals called The Mess You Made Me Make, which is sung from the perspective of someone on death row, like having an argument with the voice in their head. And as soon as you're kind of writing from behind that character's eyes, your vocabulary changes, and you start using different words in songs and writing about different things and having different attitudes and stuff. And I've found that that's kind of, it's been really liberating to write from behind other people's eyes. There's a few more personal ones on this next album. But I mean, there again, there's lots of story songs.
Ever felt like you're not where you should be? Living through the cracks in your routine, and I'm getting kinda sick of playing make-believe that everything is gonna change come New Year's Eve. there's just no feeling like coming home. Well, I'm leaving, but it's late this evening. I'm haunted by this feeling. I'm not where I should be. Well, don't stop me, no cause for your worry. We both could wind up sorry. See you in my dreams.
Great. I really love that idea of songs like of telling a story type thing, and it's a very unique way of songwriting as well, and behind other people's eyes, which is really cool and unique and different. And I think you also kind of answered the question I was going to ask about the Teenage Waitress name, and about the next album, what the songwriting is going to be like. The next album, what's the difference? So let's talk about the record label, and how you got linked up with Andy Crofts and stuff like that.
Sure. So I have known Andy for over 10 years, I think now, and I think the connection came from my old band, because we were very lucky and fortunate that we were able to support Paul Weller and use his studio as well a few times. And I met Andy through the connection with Paul, and we also played with Andy's band The Moons a few times and kind of got to know each other a bit better backstage. And I'd send Andy songs, and Andy played on one of our songs as well, and he's always just been super supportive of what I do. And I feel Andy's a bit of a kindred spirit to me with as well with his songwriting, because Andy sort of from what I gather, and from certainly from Andy's music, melody is king, and that's exactly how I feel about songwriting as well. You have to have a good melody. That's the most important thing. And Andy's always been so supportive. And so yeah, when I was working on the Teenage Waitress stuff, I sent it to Andy, and he very kindly said, "Let's do a single." And so we did the first single, "You Ain't Got It Bad," which did well. And then Andy said, "Let's do another one." So we did another one, "I'm Leaving Berlin." And then I got the message of, right, let's do the whole album. Let's put it on vinyl, and yeah, we're gonna do it. And that was huge for me, because that's the dream, really. I'm as I say, I'm a real music nerd, and I love the format of vinyl. And so being able to actually work with Andy to get it out there was huge for me, and it kind of gave the record the home that I always hoped it had. So that was huge, and I urge anyone listening to go check out all the artists on Colorama. There's not been one bad song released with Colorama Records. Andy just has such great taste, and yeah, has very high quality control. You can listen to anything that's come through on Colorama and be impressed. There's so much talent on there. So yeah, go check out all the Colorama artists. Also, I'm not arrogant enough to include me in that last statement. I'm very lucky to be on Colorama, but I'm talking about everyone else on there. Go listen to everyone else. They're all great.
Yeah, totally agree. That record label is brilliant, and I really love Andy and the Moons. I really like anything he releases, and with Moons, and I think he's done a few solo stuff. But where do you want to say to the people that are listening where you can access your music, and where you're able to get it, like because you got it on vinyl and stuff like that? And so where can you get it? Is it on Bandcamp or anything like that?
Sure. So you can listen to it on all the digitals, so your Spotify's and your Apple Music's. And if you're listening on there, please make sure to follow me on there because that really helps. Unfortunately, it's all kind of algorithms and things that I will never understand these days. But I know that if someone follows and there's another follower on these services, it goes a long way. So yeah, please find me, follow me, and interact as much as you want with me on my socials as well. That's always great. And you can get, if you're a hard copy person, you can get a copy of the record on sort of translucent purple vinyl, which it sounds fantastic. It's a great pressing, and I think there's not many copies left. I think most of them went, and I think I've got a few. So if you can't find them anywhere, drop me a message on Instagram, Teenage Waitress, or on Twitter if you want a vinyl. I've got a few left here, but there might be a few hanging around on the internet as well. So, yeah, if you fancy it, I think the album was made for vinyl. It was, planned as a two-sided record with two beginnings and two endings, and I think it's the best format to listen to the record on.
Yeah, I need to get myself a copy of your record on vinyl, definitely, because it's definitely the kind of stuff I would have in my collection as well. And also, I listen to it on Spotify and it's brilliant. So, like, just wondering what it's going to sound like on vinyl, because obviously we all notice these little things. People in the music nerds, music just sounds so much better on vinyl for some reason, which is just really weird, but it just does. So, let's talk gigs. Have you done any gigs yet as Teenage Waitress? And if you have, can you recall your first gig? And what was your nerves like at your first ever gig?
Sure. Yeah, well, we haven't done many. We've done, I think it's been about 6 Teenage Waitress gigs, 3 acoustic, just by myself, and 3 full band. And it's just unfortunately the way that things have gone, where we got a bit of freedom, then there was a lockdown, then we got a bit of freedom again, and then another lockdown. So it was a strange time, but I was always very excited about every Teenage Waitress gig that we've done, like, because live music wasn't a thing for such a long time, and because I love playing music live. I just get such a buzz off it. I was just ready to go. I think every gig I do, the sort of half hour before we go on stage, I get a bit fidgety and I sort of pace the room a bit and don't really know what to do with myself. So the nerves kind of kick in there. But every Teenage Waitress gig, I've just been ready to go, just because I released the album, wasn't able to gig it, was so ready to play these songs at the first opportunity. So yeah, it was always a thrill.
Like, how would you say you developed from that first gig with nerves and stuff like that to your most recent gig?
Yeah, I think it's a bit like anything. The more you do it, the more comfortable you get. I think I was probably very stiff at the first gig, just thinking very carefully about everything I was doing. And as the more times we play these songs, the less I have to remember. The more muscle memory kicks in, and there's I'd say definitely a more relaxed experience now playing these songs on stage, and kind of the bits that you weren't sure how they were going to go or whatever, and you got through them and the sky didn't fall. It's it makes it feel way more comfortable when you get to those bits at other gigs. I'm sure every musician has those bits in songs that they dread, that note they dread singing, or that guitar solo that they know that they're not going to quite get right, and plenty of those in my set. So it was kind of nice just to do the set front to back at the first gig and get through it and see that we could do it, and it did all sound as we hoped it would. So, like, as we're on the subject of gigs, do you want to talk about anything that's upcoming gig wise? There's actually nothing yet, I'm afraid. We're sorry, it's a very boring answer and a very short answer, but we've just like I say, I've just thrown myself into this second album. Started with about 70, 80 songs, whittled it down to 50, and then whittled it down to the 12 that will be on the album and a bunch of singles. So that's kind of taken over the last year, and I haven't even had a second to kind of think about booking some new shows, but I can't wait. And as soon as we can, the shows will be all over my social networks. So come follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and you'll be the first to hear about the new shows to support the second album. Great, but blimey, that is a lot of songs.
So, like, with the songs that are not getting played on the upcoming album, what will they be for, like, future albums or EPs or whatever?
Yeah, we'll definitely be using quite a lot of them because I don't know, just was kind of a bit of a creative time during one of the lockdowns, one of the many lockdowns. I would kind of write 10 a week, send to my producer, and kind of make a list of our favourites. Then the next week I'd write another 10, and they weren't always fully formed. You know, sometimes it would just be like a verse and a chorus, and is this on the right lines? Is this going to be something good? But there was definitely, like I said, we ended up with about 20 songs that we really liked. Both of us really liked, and we're definitely going to do some singles after the album. And I'd love to do a third album, so fingers crossed there'll be a third one. And that having those ideas in the bank will be a great place to start for that.
Wow, so it looks like it's gonna keep all this music's gonna keep you really busy. But so like, is there anything else that we haven't talked about on the podcast that you like to add?
Yeah, well, I've sort of touched on it already, but I think the most important thing to do right now, if you like the music, is to find me on the socials, interact with the post on the socials. So yeah, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I'm trying to get my head around how to use TikTok. I have no idea. It makes me feel very, very old because I'm very confused by it all. But I'll try and work that one out as well. Yeah, please just find me, follow me, like, subscribe, comment, share. All of that stuff is gold dust in the way that music works at the moment, and it all really helps. As I say, I haven't been able to play many shows at the moment because I've been writing the second record. So any help with promoting it, with getting the name out there, will always be greatly appreciated. So yeah, if you like what you hear, come say hello.
So thank you for joining me for a podcast. Really appreciate it, and good luck with your second album and your third album. Before you go, this is a question I like to ask all the time on all of my podcasts. Have you got something inspiring to say to the listeners, whether that's something to do with the music industry or just in general life?
Thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate it. And I've had a great time chatting to you, and just, yeah, really appreciate your time, and grateful for you having me on the pod. I think the most important thing that I can think of right now is to just not be too hard on yourself, and to not be a dick to yourself. Yeah, remember your worth. I think that's an important thing to remember.
Well, that was Daniel out of Teenage Waitress. Thank you so much once again for coming on the podcast. And also, if the sound quality of my mic sounded bad to whoever was listening to that podcast, just I forgot to say we recorded this on WhatsApp. So yeah, but we have, as always, alternatives of making podcasts, which I really love. Like I like doing on Zoom and WhatsApp and stuff like that. So if there's any bands far distance in other countries and that want to get in contact and do a podcast, we'll sort something out. We'll do it over WhatsApp, probably Zoom, and whatever. So like, yeah, get in contact, and yeah, if you know anyone, link them up. So yeah, I don't know what the next podcast will be, but please leave a like, subscribe if you enjoyed, please share if you can, and follow Teenage Waitress. So see you all soon, and don't forget about the 4th of February.